Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lilu nishmas imi moiros yuspas Mordechai. Shalom Goldstein and three other friends. We'll talk about when the chassan is going to happen a little later after this year, and all these other these kind of shmuzim we can do later. Yishkoyach. Appreciate that you're on time. Rabbi Sai Mendi Auerbach. When is the chassan going to be? I can't hear myself. Hagba? Unbelievable. We're very proud of you, Mendy. We're very proud. Where were you on the call? I got to tell the Olam. Yesterday was a tremendous chizuk for everybody involved. All the reps of MDY, not all, half, 78 reps got on one Zoom call. Very first time that ever happened. And Be'ezer Hashem, those who couldn't make it, because not everybody can make it at the same time, on Monday, so if you're a rep and you weren't invited to be on this call, please be in touch with Tomer. But it was a tremendous chizuk for everybody. Just to hear different ideas and going back and forth. It was quick. No? How long was it? It was 45 minutes? 45 minutes. Yeah. It could have gone forever. Shalom Goldstein and three other friends from Montreal on the way to Nichim Avelim of the Admor Miskver Shlita in New York. Keep on daffing. Hashtag I hope you'll come one day to Montreal. And here we go. They're in the car. Wow. Don't sit on the sidelines. Grab your phone, text your friend, WhatsApp your friend. It's a beautiful video. Send a message. Put it on your status. If you put it on your status, what does it cost you? A minute of your time? And you might actually bring somebody to Torah and change their life. But these guys are for real. They have the Gemara sound, the learning. They just happen to send me my favorite part of that shir, which is to get other people to come to the shir. Yishkoyach. Shalom Aleichem. Grossberg. Okay. Wow. Okay. I got the G. Unbelievable. Shalom Aleichem. Where are you from? Brooklyn, New York. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? You're not a guest there, but Shalom Aleichem. Eric Schwartz from? Teaneck. Second, third, fourth time every day for the last month. Second time. That's what it is, the Shabbaton. That's also becoming very embarrassing. Yeah. No, people from the Shabbaton, I don't recognize, I forgot that they had the Shabbaton. My boy said this is very inspiring also. 14-year-old kid. I've been with the Daf since Megillah, and I've learned with Yeshir the entire time. He hasn't missed since Megillah. I've always anticipated my set time for the Daf since I joined the Shir. Another added benefit of joining the Daf is that I felt a stronger connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as a result, have wanted to do something more. I just saw this email this morning for the very first time, and I was speaking about yesterday on the Zoom call, the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Torah. I always felt encouraged by your charts and tried to attempt to make pictures in order to add a slight bit of a comedy or extra insight. Here's the Kohen receiving 24 gifts. Therefore, I've made some pictures to illustrate different parts of the Daf. I hope Yeshir enjoys them. Thank you again for your contribution to Torah learning. Jacob, Torcziner. Torcziner. Yaakov Torcziner, 14 years old. Unbelievable. And here's another one of him from Brachas, Daf Chav Daled. Oh, going back. Rabbi said, this is from Dov Harris. I am very, very, I don't know what the word is. You stick in the word. I'm very. Because he himself took an initiative. He didn't wait for the chevra, for the marketing guys from New York to give him. He himself went out, got this graphic designer, made his own graphics, which I think are actually, I'm sorry to say, okay, they're just as good as the ones from New York. Don't you enjoy seeing that papers, magazines, shul stores, flyers? This is from Dov Harris. Billboards are sorted, Baruch Hashem, so there should be over 30,000 pairs of eyes over these Baba Metzia adverts by this time next week. We're doing the Ishtadlus. You just keep giving the best share on the planet. It's unbelievable. Now take a good look at what this is, why I like it so much. First of all, it says in three things: animation, clarity, enthusiasm. Underneath it says the whole Masechta in under 80 hours. He gives you hey, don't worry, it's Bava Metzia, it's this thick, but you can do the whole thing in 80 hours. And then it says over 2,500 cheer members in the UK alone. It gives details, Geschmacka advert, as they call it over there. And now take a look at his advert for, what? 80 hours, it's very chashuv. And take a look at this beautiful one for an invite to the Siyam. Check this out. It's Yoshi's pictures all the way around, all the art of Baba Kama. Guys, a guy taking the initiative, one person taking an initiative in London and going weiter. Something about the UK, Shimmy Leafman, if you look at his status, I'm not exaggerating, 15 different statuses a day with his own chidushim, his own words that he sticks in. I would have to say thanks a trillion loud and clear. This is from a guy from Kiryas Yoel. I almost lost my job for sitting too long to listen to your shir, he says. He has to say thanks a trillion loud and clear for saving me, my job. To find out after an hour, listen your shir, WhatsApp, beginning of the Masechtas Brachas. He started from Brachas, he wants a cruise, of course, even though I'm a Kiryas Yoel boy. Hi, Reb Eli. Rabbi said, listen to this one. This one is also mind-blowing. Pashut, it's unbelievable. Why? Here's a guy that went out of his comfort zone, and whoever you are, please write in. It might be Peretz Chaim Levin, who knows? I come from a Hasidish background. I moved out from New York with my wife and settled in one of the states, he doesn't say which, as it didn't work for us, staying where we grew up. There's currently no Jews living in our surrounding area, and there isn't anywhere where I can connect when I want to. I had someone randomly stop me on the FDR. You guys know what the FDR drive is in Manhattan? It's a 6-lane highway, but they have lights at certain places. A guy comes out of his car, knocks on his window when I was at a visit recently in New York, and asked me to go on YouTube and subscribe to your channel. I thought I'll do this creepy person a favor. So I subscribed to your channel. Little did I know that he did me a favor. I try to watch his shir every day, and that gives me the connection I was missing. Thank you. A guy stops him on the FDR drive, a guy that doesn't have connection that much to Yiddishkeit. You hear what's going on here?
Yeah, he's nuts.
He's nuts, and nutty people get a lot of zchusim. Whoever you are, this guy Max, I took out his email. I mean, this is part of his email, but I encouraged Doyle to reach out to him by email. If you want to reach out, ask Yosef his real email. It's just missing 3 digits. It's Max BP and 3 digits, not 1, 2, 3. And maybe reach out to him. And whoever you are that knocked on his window on the FDR drive, I'm really curious to know who you are. Unbelievable. Rabbi Isai, get out of your comfort zone. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Get out of your comfort zone. You don't know who you're touching. There's a guy that lives in one of the states without any Yidden. You have what's going on here? Another thing, I got to go back to this. I just thought about something. I mentioned this a while ago. There's a Hasidic kid here with a long ponytail. Remember? He sat here for a bunch of days. Shmili. And I spoke to him about this. He's my friend also. I don't know where he is. He was here for davening Kavana. He had a bad experience in the Hasidic community, and he went out But I want to tell the Hasidim that are watching that it's not all or nothing. You could be a shaygitz like me, be a litvak, take off your beard. You could watch. You could have a smartphone. It doesn't mean no. Seriously, he told me that he felt so guilty because he wanted a smartphone. He watched the movie. He thought he had to go off the derech, and you don't have to go off the derech. There's different drachim. There's different things. So be a modern Orthodox Yid. It doesn't mean to move out to Yehubitzville and leave all of Yiddishkeit. Anyway, fine. Now I'm going to join a different community. If it doesn't work, if Lutvaks don't work for you, join the Sephardic community. If Sephardic doesn't work for you, join this. If your modern Orthodox doesn't work for you, become a Haredi. But you don't have to drop everything. It's not all or nothing. The Masechta, yeah, you ask him?
No, that's
that what?
It's not all or nothing.
It's not all or nothing. That's my point. No, because a lot of people, when you grow up in a very close community, it works for a lot of people, and for some people it doesn't. And they think that literally, no. If you go to a movie, a guy told me, I went to a movie. That's not Chal Shabbos. I'm done, finished. It's not like that. The Masechta, huh? You can definitely join. Shalom Aleichem, guys on Zoom. How you doing? Great to see you again. The Masechta is sponsored for the unity of Am Yisrael. The Masechta, the Parnas HaChodesh, Li Nishma Zechaya Ben Moshe, Li Nishma Zechaya Bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh Ahron Fraiman. It should be a zchus to Reb Eli for continued siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas HaChodesh Mazal Tov Ahron, Reb Eli in the time mishpacha for the birth of Sophia Ruth. Sophia Ruth. Paras Shavua, zchus for my daughters, SB Bas SR and em besesar to find shidduchim bekarov amen. Panas Shavua, press her family, zchus Refuah shelaima. For our mother, Rochel bas Rivka Hennah, she should have a Refuah shelaima bekarov. The heart of the month, anonymous for the zchus, for needs his childbirth, his daughter, and a healthy baby. Amen. I have no idea what time it is. 7:21. Okay, great. We're holding Rabbi Eli Daf Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Here's the shaila. We'll start off with a shaila that will press a lot of buttons, but it's somewhat negate our sugya. And if I forget, if there's a rebbe in the cheder that there's rumors about him that he attacked children in a very inappropriate way, could you bring Eidim to testify against him if he's not present? So obviously, there's an obvious answer to that, but it's to make us think a little bit. There's a problem accepting testimony without the baldin in front of us. So, of course, in this crazy case, then the halacha would be, and all the Achronim speak about it, and they bring our Gemara. Of course, to save a kid and this and that, and it's not inappropriate for him to be. You could, but in general, if you're trying to exact money out of somebody, you're trying to take something out, you need the baldin there. Okay, so let's see the Gemara of Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. We're holding on the top. It doesn't happen too often, and don't get used to it. But here we are. We're on the right daf. To remind the Olam. Oh, first of all, I would need to show you this. I put in the wrong place. Yoshi did a little bit of a cartoon for us. The guys. Well, there's only 8 days left to sign people up and to bring them to Torah. Tzadik Bali'ir. It's Jonathan Stefansky over there. Very nice. Anyway, sign up for Daf Yomi, or else. Okay? Sign up for Daf Yomi, or else. It's Ganovim. We're talking about Baba Kama, the Ganovim, the kids, the whole thing. Okay. Money on the side. Fine. Rabbi Eli, yesterday we learned the halacha of Rishus Yorish, Rishus Likeach, and that is, if we know that in order to acquire Gneva, you need to have different things to happen. It has to go through certain stages. One of them is Yiyush. The owner has to give up on it. Shinir Shus, it has to change domains. Okay. Changing domains, if the father dies and he gives it over to his children, is that considered a change of domain? Did it change possession? So Rami Bar Chama said yesterday, yes. Rava argues the two brother-in-laws, right? Rami Bar Chama and Rava, they're not really brothers, they married the same woman, I should say. They had the same father-in-law. Rishus Yoresh ki Rishus Lekeach. Rami Bar Chama says yes. When a father dies and it goes to the children, it changed domains, and in addition, you have the shinu, the yush. You have two things going for us. It becomes the children's; they don't have to return. He says yes. He says this halacha of Rishus Yorish Rishus Lekeach, but on something else. Something very similar. That if the father left over in the bank account moishel ribis, money that he earned with the isudah rice of taking interest without a heteriska, just taking ribis. There's a pile of money and it says on top, ribis, and here's the principal. Here's the ribis part. You don't have to give it back. Why? Because when the father died, the Yorshim, they inherited the money. That became a shinui rishus. In addition, there is Yush. Rabbi Eli, why is there Yush by ribis? Because when somebody takes a loan, he knows that he has to pay the interest. He never thinks for a moment that he's going to get it back. So he gives up immediately. So you have the Yush part, and then you also have the Shinu Rishos, and therefore they don't have to return the money. After this? No. Luckily not. That's not ribis then. It's not ribis. Ribis, by the way, if you think about it, just everything in the world, no, not the Sabbath, but everything in the world. If I have a car, I can rent it to you. If I have a computer, I can rent it to you. A bike, I can rent. People, kids, YY, this kid, he has 60 motor scooters, and he rents out 60 scooters as a kid. But if I have money, I cannot rent it to you. I want to rent you my money. Why not? I I have a possession, I have a car, and I have a loan for ribbis. I cannot take ribbis. It's a chiddush, big chiddush. Rava says, no. In fact, I agree to this halacha. Rava agrees that if the father left over money, a pile of ribbis money, the Yerushim don't have to give it back. But for a different reason. Just like he argued on Amud Beis, Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis, about the concept of Rishus Yerush, Rishus Lekech, he argues over here as well. And he says, V'shani hacha da'amar kra, al tikach mitoy neshech v'sarbis. It's not true, says Rava, that when a father dies, it changes possession. It's as if it's the Shidduch Rishus. There's a special chiddush in the Torah. Al tikach mitoy neshech v'sarbis. Don't take any ribbis. Ahadar le'kehechet denechi b'hadoch. So we must see the pasuk in order to understand the end of the pasuk. It says, Al tikach mitoy neshech v'sarbis v'yoreisa melikecha. You should fear Hashem v'cheyachicha imach, so that he can live. But on who is this chiyuv that he should? Who's responsible to have this loiva, the borrower, live? The Torah warned the lender, this pasuk was not said to the son, and therefore there's another chiddush why the child doesn't have to give it back to ribbis, not because of what you're saying, Rabbi Merchava, that it's because there's two things that happen, Yush and Shinu Rishos. Says the Gemara, so here we have the concept of Rishus Yorish, Rishus Lekech, that when a father dies, does it change possession or Rishus? So if you say this halacha only in the Brisa, so on the Mishnah, it's not going to work. Kolchkin on the Mishnah. Kolchkin on Masnisan. Why? Because if you take a look at the Mishnah, look at the Mishnah a second. Let's go back to Amud Beis. Hagoizu machal zbanav. That's case number one. A person steals and has his kids eat it, they consume it. The second halacha is v'niach lefneim. What's the simple understanding of v'niach lefneim? He took the gneva and put it in front of them, then he died and it's in front of them. So it's be'ein. And the Mishnah says, P'tur milashalim. Without any explanation that we had in the Gemara, we had Rava explain the whole thing. Stam, pasha pshat, v'niach lefneim. That's how we learned it when we started the Mishnah. The Yerushim, the father drops dead, and in front of them, there's a box of whatever that he stole. They don't have to give it back. Why not? Why not? The answer must be because his death was a shinu rishus. Together with the Yush, they don't have to give it back. Otherwise, there's no explanation. There's a box of Gneva here. Everybody knows the father stole it from Reuven, so give it back to Reuven. Why would you not pay? So if I say in the Brisa that if the father gave over money with ribbis, you don't have to give it back. Why? Because this is Shinu Rishus. So certainly in the Mishnah, we have to explain that there's a Shinu Rishus and that we hold that Rishus Yorish Rishus Lekeach. But if you say that this halacha was said only in the Mishnah, that that's the pshat in our Mishnah. It's very possible to say yes. This applies itself to the Mishnah. That what Rishus Yorish Rishus Lekeach. The reason why, if the kids, they inherited Gneva, they don't have to give it back because we have this idea of Rishus Yorish, Rishus Lekech. As the moment the father dies, it changed domains. Plus you have a Yush, they don't have to give it back. But when it comes to ribbis, it's very possible that you don't say this concept. And the reason why an inheritor could keep the ribbis is because the Torah said that you have to keep him alive, but that was only said to the father, not to the sons, like Rava says. New sugya. If somebody steals and gives food to his kids, it's a very sad story. The guy doesn't have what to eat, so he goes into Walmart and he steals. He gives food to his kids. That would be okay in a way if a person's really hungry and he steals, if he had in mind to pay back. Okay, they don't have to pay. If he left it in front of them, why would a gadol have to pay? The father is not here. There's a shinui rishus. We must say that you don't have the second component. You need these two components, the yush and the shinui rishus. So if you have a shinui rishus, because the father is no longer alive, we must say that there's no yush. Otherwise, Rami Bachama doesn't make any sense. Ktanim, pturim el shalom. So this is a whole sugya that we're going to have. Not a whole sugya, but a lot of what we're going to be discussing is this idea and concept. You cannot take a minor to court. Okay? Even today. Huh? Mitzad, they're not bardas. You're going to take a horse to court. You're going to take a kid that has no das. What point is it to take him to court? He can't fight. He can't stick up for himself. What you're going to do is you're going to wait for him to be available. You'll wait a few years until he gets some das. Oh, yes, and that's what's fascinating over here. We have certain cases, even in an apartment. I say it's my apartment. I have Eidim that I sat in this house. Comes the kid, he locks the door on me. We're stuck now. Stuck. Why am I stuck? Because I cannot go to court with the kid. Let me take my Eidim and let me go to court by myself without him. No, it doesn't work like that. So, and that's the sheet of Sumchus. The Chacham argue, but this is going like Sumchus. That what Ktanim Pturim Milashalim, right now you can't get a cotton to pay. And if the adults, meaning a 13-year-old, he say, I don't know what my father did. I know he stole a lot, but right now I don't know if he paid you. Pturim, they don't have to pay. As the Gemara, Mishum da Amri and on Yoidim Pturim, that makes no sense what you're saying. Because they don't know, that makes them potter. No, what he meant to say is, if an adult kid says, I know for a fact, yes, my father is a big ganav, and in fact he told me he stole this and this stuff from you, but he also told me that he paid you back. So that's a pesha asar, a pesha hitir, sort of, or yes, this is I say that my father is a ganav, but I also say my father paid back. He doesn't owe you a dime. Pturim, they don't have to pay. Pesha asar, pesha hitir, yeah. If I believe you for the gneva part, I also believe you for the paying part. Seems like Taisus, the pesha asar. Okay. I said Taisus. I'll go upon it. What's the lashon over here? Yeah. Says the Gemara. Another brisa. Somebody steals, gives it to his kids, it's consumed. He put it in front of them and they consumed it. Again, it's gone. They have to pay. Ask the Gemara, how could you have a minor pay for anything? We learned that stay away from a minor, because if a minor causes damage, you can't sue him. So why in this case is he any worse than a kid that's mazik? A kid takes a baseball, plays baseball next to his neighbor's house, breaks the window. According to Allah, he's potter. So now he consumed his father's gezel. Why should he be chayav? We're talking about that it's here in front of us. They didn't consume it, and there was no yush. Then in that case, since let's go back to this chart for a second, that it's before yush. If it's be'ain, you see the top corner before yush be'ain, it's chayav lahachzer. If they consumed it according to Rav Chisda, they have to give it back, and according to Rav Eli. After yush, if it's in front of us, you have to give it back, and if it was consumed, you don't have to give it back. And if there's both yush and shinu rishus, you don't have to give it back, even if it's in front of us. If the father left them a borrowed cow, now I'll ask the olam a shayla, because this didn't make any sense to me when the first time I read it. If you lend your car to your friend, okay, your friend is your age, he's 40-something years old, however old you are, does that mean that your friend's 70-year-old kid could drive the car? They just got their license. Probably not. No? Probably not. Huh? Forget the Tanai. What's the umdana? What's... Right. Exactly. That's what I would say. Okay. Huh? You're allowed. That's not fair, because you're that age. You want to. Why? You drove the car that your father borrowed? Yeah.
That he asked for it, right?
Yeah.
He's show, and he's a kind of shomer.
Yeah.
And it's it's normal כדרך השעון לתת לבניו
אתה יכול לדבר בעברית.
לבניו הגדולים, older.
It's normal to give it over. Okay, I hear. In certain things that is normal. I was just asking a car because it's not normal. Not normal. First of all, you shouldn't give your own car to your own kid. That's like. No? I don't know how my father let me drive at 17, 18 years old. Shem Yirachim. I was driving in New York with my father's car. He comes back, he goes, did you by any chance hit something? It's like, why do you think that? It's like, because I see a puddle of oil underneath the car. I killed the engine. I ran over a sidewalk or something. It hit the bottom of the engine. I was able to drive home, but overnight, all the engine came out and there went the engine. Seriously. All the old ones. Yeah, you know, kid. Sugar. Who made up this law that a kid can drive when they're 18? It makes no sense. Mamish, no sense.
You denied it, right?
Did I deny it? Of course I did. Okay. Omar Rava. Hiniach lo maviem parashulo mishtamshim ba kol yemei sheilasa. So this is a tremendous chiddush, and what happens here is as follows. The way the Rishonim explain it is that when I give over my car to somebody, I say you could drive it. You cannot give it to your children. You can't. But so what's going on here? But because he died, he gives over b'yerusha, inheritance to his kids. That's zchus that he had in the car. Okay, now I'm not saying it works with a car, but in other things. Let's say he lent him a drill. When I lend somebody a drill, I lend it to you and not to your whole family. So when that person dies, the drill goes over b'yerusha to the children. We can understand it better with a drill maybe than a car. Car specifically, no. I'm not giving you a $50,000 machine to give to your kid to ruin. Fine. Mesa ein chayavim ba'anza. Check this out, Rabbi Isa. Here's the picture. Yeah. That's how I saw in the, I think, the Ravid. Yeah. I hear. I didn't. In Shulchan Aruch is not mashma like that, but okay. Check this out. New car gemach. It says over here has MDY plates, and the sweatshirts MDY. Kids, of course. Ooh, what did I just do? That I'm not going in there. I had a bad month with those kind of jokes. MDY kids. There's a lot of detail about upon him. Smoke coming out of the engine. New gemach, new car gemach. Mesa ein chayavim ba'insa. If this is something else, this is mesa machmas v'lacha, but mesa ein chayavim ba'insa. So what's going on here? They inherited. If the car dies by the father, if all of a sudden he wakes up and he can't start the car completely went kaput, the father is chayav. Why? Because a shayel is chayav ba'insim. The only time a borrower, a shayel, is not chayav ba'insim is when it dies while he's working, while he's driving it. Talking about the FDR drive. I borrowed my uncle's car, a Chevy, and I was on the West Side Highway, was it on the FDR? I don't remember. One of those two. In traffic, and because it's going so slow, it just conked out. The panic. You understand what's going on here? You're in New York, in a 3-lane highway, there's no medium, no shoulder, nothing, and the looks from people. You're like, Hashem, help, please. Nothing. You're sitting there for 2 minutes and people are giving you the curses. You dirty Jew, stop here. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, take off the yarmulke, just the pace of flying out in the Yankee cap. Put it in the New York Yankee cap. Yeah. That really helped. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So, listen to this chiddush here. The children, although they get the zchus of the father in this animal, in this car, they don't have to take upon themselves, they never took upon themselves the same shmira that the father had. And therefore, best of all worlds. So what do you say, Nu, Noam, or anybody else? So what are they? What did they just become? They're not a shayel. Are they a shem mechinam? Are they a shem sachar? Are they potter from gnei v'aveda? Chayiv gnei v'aveda? They could just leave the doors of the barn open, let the animal run away, do whatever it wants. Like what is the gather now? It's hard to understand, right? They're not chayiv roinsim. So the Shulchan Aruch says they become a shomer sachar. They're chayiv gnei v'aveda, But he sticks in a point and he says, there's a shita, he says, that says that if the lender, he lent the cow for 30 days, let's say, and the father died at day 15, so they have another 15 days left. He's still allowed to come and renege the whole deal. He could say, listen, either you accept upon yourself what your father accepted upon himself, that if it dies, ba'inus, you're chayiv, or give it back to me. Typically, you can't just go to a guy, hey, I want my car back. You made a deal, 30 days, that's it. But over here, since there was a death, and they don't have the same responsibility, you can make a deal with them. Either you take the responsibility or not.
Why shomer sucker? He's not being paid.
He has enough of what he has enough of it.
Thank you. Kisfurim shel avimi. Listen to this halacha, another unbelievable halacha. They don't know that the father borrowed it. They see a new cow in the backyard. They're very excited. The father dies. Now they're starving. They go, they shech the cow, and they eat it. Now, if they were ganovim, they would have to pay 5. What are they? So think about it. We know halacha. Stam, I'm throwing this out. We know halacha. If a person is in the middle of a sleep and he stabs his friend's cow and kills his friend's cow, how much does he have to pay? 100%. Adamud la'ilam. In this case, massive chiddush, he doesn't have to pay 100%. They don't have to pay 100%. The may basal bizal. Why? Because they're not considered a mazik. They didn't damage because they thought it was theirs. So that's not called damaging. On the other side, we also learned that if an animal falls off somebody's backyard into another backyard and saves itself on the fruit, you don't pay the full price. Because for Hannah, you pay less. Over here, they benefited. You would ask them, how much would you pay if you didn't know it was your father? I'd pay at least 2/3. May basal bizal, cheap meat, 2/3. It's a massive chiddush. But if the father left real estate, chayavim l'shalim. What is it talking about? Which case? Oh, here. I forgot to show this. Oops, the car was not tatis, it's the gemachs. Okay. This somehow, I have to ask Yoshi what this was doing exactly. I think the guy's dead, and they're just, either they karate chopped him to death. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. He's going to say, oh, let's put this in the sugya. If you guys can figure it out, fine. So, says the Gemara, now we can go back to this. We have, again, another time. We have halacha on top, hiniach lem karka. If the father left them real estate, they have to pay full price. Is it talking about in a case where the animal died on its own, and we said that you don't have to pay for the animal because it died, they inherit the father's zchus to use the animal, but they don't have to pay anything. But if he left them real estate, they do have to pay full price. Or is it going on the case that we just said, that if they shechted the animal and they didn't know it's not their father's, so he said he has to pay cheap meat. Oh, but if he owns a building in downtown Manhattan, he has real estate, then you have to pay full price for the meat. Is that the pshat? Man de mazal areisha kolchkin aseifa. If we say it on the reisha is mesa eichayim ba'insa. Now, we're going to see a sugya. We're talking about that when exactly, when somebody borrows something, when is he chayiv? Is he chayiv from the moment on all his? Does he take responsibility from the moment he took it? Or we wait until the thing dies, and then we invoke the chiyuv on him. It's a massive enough community. Rav Papa says it's all the way at the end. Rav says it's all the way in the beginning. So Melech, it's all the way in the beginning. So certainly, if it dies, they didn't do anything, it dies. And you say, the kids are chayiv, so certainly at the seifa, where they did something, they thought, you're chayiv. Why? Because the father took responsibility when he borrowed it. Anything that happens, then I'm paying you. So this is something that happened under his watch, so to speak. Yes, he's dead, but it's under his watch. They argue on Rav Papa because Rav Papa says it only becomes you invoke the chiyuv at the end. I guess where the father is at the end. He's under the ground somewhere. You can't make him pay. But the one who says it's only on the seifa. But when it dies on its own, then you're not chayiv. Why? Behind the Rav Papa, because Rav Papa says you're only chayiv all the way at the end. So there's a different reason why you're chayiv by tfichim echir. If a person stole an animal before Shabbos, so the Maisa Gneva happened before Shabbos on Friday, utvach b'Shabbos, and he shechted on Shabbos, chayiv, he's chayiv. How much are you chayiv when you shecht an animal? So in this case, the animal is a cow. He'd be chayav 5. Why is he chayav 5? Shekvar chayav b'gneva v'koydem she'yovad the Isur Shabbos. So we have the famous concept called kimle b'derabim minei. That you cannot have somebody pay 2 punishments, death because he's Michal Shabbos and 5 for the animal. But over here, he was chayav for the gneva before Shabbos, and the tvicha came on Shabbos. Let me ask you something. But what about the 5? The 5 didn't come before Shabbos. The 5 came on Shabbos. When did he shechten and became chayav in 5? On Shabbos. Before Shabbos, he's only chayav on kefil. So why should he be chayav 5? Why is there no kimle b'derabim on the 5? Oh, you guys are both reading the art school and telling me you don't have art school. He does. He has some sort of thing going on there. Knas. Everybody holds that if it's a knas, you pay kimle b'derabim. No, it's machlokes. Because 5 is a knas, so yes, he's chayiv misa for shechting it on Shabbos, right? Netilas neshama, you're not allowed to take an animal's life on Shabbos. It's deraisa. But you are chayiv at the same time for the 5 because it's a knas. But if it was a borrowed cow, potter, now he's potter from the 5. Why? She's a Shabbos. When he shechs that animal, he just stole it. Now there is a kamle b'derabim. He's chayiv misa for the Shabbos. He's potter on the gneva aveda. Now, that's because Rav Papa holds that what? That the chiyuv happens all the way at the end, together with the tvicha. His chiyuv, this is Rav Papa. Rav Papa says, when did he become responsible? Now at the end, all the way at the end, when I shech, then he becomes responsible. But if you hold that he becomes responsible in the beginning, then he would have to pay. So in other words, according to Rava, who argues in Rav Papa, his responsibility to pay was when? The moment he borrowed the animal. So there's no kimle b'derabim because he's Michal Shabbos 20 days after he borrowed it, and the chiyuv to pay happened 20 days before. He would have to pay for the daled v'hei according to Rava. Huh? Just what? Huh? Again?
He borrowed something. He didn't give it back. He borrowed the kayak.
Correct. That's Rashi. Rashi says that we don't even have. There's no concept of dalvei. There's no gneva, says Rashi. He's right. There's no gneva when it comes to a shoyel. What is he going to say? Sorry, it got stolen. So pay. There's no tainas gneva aveda by a shoyel. So whatever you take, you give back. He stole it, you give it back. You got lost, you give it back. There's never a tainas gneva, tainas ganav by a shoyel. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara. We had this question before. The Torah says, give back what you stole. What's asher gazal? That which you stole, to teach us that if the gneva is not here in front of us, you don't have to give it back. Now let me ask you a question. What do you mean you don't have to give it back? I stole something. I stole a pie of pizza, ate the pie of pizza. I don't have to give it back? Why not? Of course I have to give it back. So what's going on here? No, you don't have to give it back. Because obviously the Torah is talking about the children. The children don't have to give it back. That's the chiddush over here. By the way, Shalom Aleichem, behind you, Rabbi Green. Shalom, what's your name again? From Brooklyn? Shalom Aleichem. I know you're not new here, and I've seen you 100 times. But nevertheless, now listen to this. So this is the sumchas we were talking about before. You cannot bring a minor to court. Says the Gemara story. Bar Chamua de Rabbi Yirmiyah Torak Gali Ba'api de Rabbi Yirmiyah. Ma'aseh Shahoya. Rabbi Yirmiyah's father-in-law dies. So Rabbi Yirmiyah goes to pick up the house that his father-in-law promised him. And there is his little mechutzavdika brother-in-law in the house, and he slams the door. Rabbi Yirmiyah's face, locks the door. Sorry, Rabbi Yirmiyah, you can't come in and take the house. He was a katan, a kid. Now the kid is living in his father's house. It's the middle of Shiva, whatever it is. Rabbi Yirmiyah coming to kick him out of the house. He's like, "It's my house. The father died. I want the house." Says Rabbi Yirmiyah, "No, your father actually gave it to me. Fight." Also, the Rabbi Oven. So they went to Rebbe and Omar, the son has all the right in the world. Everybody knows that this was the father's house. So he's saying it's his own. Omale, so says Rabbi Yirmiyah, I could prove that I sat here in the house. It was mine. I did 3 years of chazakah, like excuse me, we're going to learn about Basra, about chazakah, sitting 3 years in a house. I have witnesses. So he said, the witnesses mean nothing to me. Why? Because we're dealing with a minor. Unbelievable. So, Kufyud Beis Amud Beis, sponsored by Kidnovations LLC, in honor of my uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman and his zchus for Akiva Simcha Ben feiga. Yishukayal Gadol. Says Gemara of Allah, Ivaktani Ben Gdolim Ben Ktanim Chayavim. We said over in the Brisa that Ben Gdolim Ben Ktanim Chayavim, you could go to a minor and say pay it back. Omarle Harei Machlekes Sumchus B'Tzidcha. That is Sumchus. Sumchus holds that you cannot take. So he tells Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yirmiyah is good here. He's mamish. He's coming up stark. I have witnesses. He says, yeah, but you can't go against a katan. Well, we have a bride that says you could go to a katan. So he says, yeah, but we hold like Sumchus. Sumchus says you can't sue a minor in court. Doesn't work. Omar, so says Rabbi Yirmiyah, he's good. Ikpa kuli alma v'koyke Sumchus. What? You're gonna go like, you're gonna leave everybody in the world and go like Sumchus la pukan lididi. Thank you very much. Everybody argues in Sumchus. So why are you grabbing onto Sumchus? A single opinion. How do you say? Das Yachid? No.
Dissenting opinion.
How do you say one person? Come on, there has to be someone more. No. I'll just wait for the emails to come in. What? Correct. But in English. A Das Yachid. Bekitzer, a dissenting opinion means one? No, it means an opposing opinion. I'm looking for a singular opinion. You know the single? Who?
Lone.
A lone opinion. Okay, that's better. You're going to go with the lone opinion versus the majority. Majority of it, fine. So this whole entire went to Rebavo. Omar. So he says, didn't you hear this? It's an interesting story. An 11-year-old kid, let's say, comes and has these giant slaves. He brings them all. His father left him a lot of stuff. He brings them all. They go to this field and they take over. Oh, he's a minor. You can't take him to court. Let him stay there for 2 years until after his birth. No. You take it away immediately. And then we'll see what's going on. Rabbi Isai, what's the difference in the cases? You have a katan. He comes to the field with a bunch of big guys. And we say, hey, so what if you're a katan? Get out of here. What? No, better. Oh, says Rabbi Kormeluth. He says that he showed up one day. Shalom Aleichem, here I am. I'm taking over this field. So we tell him, get out of here. We're not going to wait until you become a gadol. But over here, this child was in the house. His father lived there on that block for 46 years. The father dies. He wants to continue living in the house. Comes the brother-in-law. Oh, by the way, the shver made a deal with me, and you don't know about it. Okay, it's very different. Midami. He didn't have a chazakah, this kid. But in the story with Roy Bacham, the kid did have chazakah. New sugya. Oh, he throws out a bomb here. You could accept eidos without the defendant, without the baldin. Toiba Rabbi Yochanan. Just think about it for a second. Who is Rabbi Yochanan? When did he live? He was the first Amoira, like right after the Tanoim. Who's Rav Ashi? The last Amoira. So how did Rabbi Yochanan? There's hundreds of years apart. Okay, so whatever. Maybe it's another Rav Ashi. They say. I'll go upon him. It can't be. Can't be that Rav Ashi said something like that. That you could accept testimony from a witness without the baldover there. Says Gemara, I have a pshat. He says, I accepted a pshat. I had a pshat. The teveya, the one that came in and brought this case to court, he was dying. He was dying. He didn't have you can't wait for the edim. You can't wait for the edim are dying. So I can't wait for the defendant to show up. He's on a vacation somewhere. We have to chaparayim before the guy dies. Real quickly, the Maisa Shahaya. I love this Maisa. There's a guy who had a heart attack and he's in very, very bad shape. So the wife goes and speaks to the doctor. No, what's going to be with my husband? He says, listen, if for the next 6 months you could show him love and not bother him and listen to everything he says, it's very possible that I'll make a full recovery. So the husband, like with his last, he says, no, what did he say? She says, don't worry about it. No, what did he say? He said, you're going to die. That's it. Kitzer, this guy is very, very sick. The Eidim are sick. He's sick. So we have an excuse. There's a reason why we have to accept the Eidim right now. They wanted to go leave the country. Okay, so we got to do it now. And in all three of these cases, and they summoned the nitva, the defendant, they summoned him and said, come to court, and he didn't show up. Okay, we have no choice. So we're going to accept the testimony. Says Shmuel, again, same bomb. We could accept testimony from Maiden without the person that they're testifying about there. I heard Pshat directly from Shmuel's mouth. They opened up how do you say in English? A tick. How do you say a tick? A case. They opened up a case against him and a file. They filed a case against him. And they even summoned him to the court. And then he didn't show up. Okay, he didn't show up, so we could start listening to the testimony. But if they didn't open up a file, I don't want to go to this lousy court. I already heard the stories about this court. I want to go there to show to the great court. What's the difference? Even if we open up a case against him, he could say, I don't like this court, I want to go to another court. No, the big court in Israel already sent a letter saying, we're not accepting your case. You better do this case here. You're in Bava, stay over there. We have a great bezin for you. Go over there. Omer Rav. Mekayim, very similar halacha, says Rav. If there's a shtar and there's people on the shtar, Mekayim is a shtar shalei b'fnei baldin. There's a famous story. I said this story a few times where a Maisa Shaya, a guy comes to his friend and says, you owe me money. Here, I have a shtar. So the guy says, let me take a look at it. Not like the Maisa Shaya with the fake shtar. And the guy, he looks, he sees a signature there. He sees above $100,000. I'd never had $100,000 to give you, and I wouldn't give it to you. Why would I give you $100,000? I says, so he goes to the Rav. The Rav says, this back forth. You know this guy? Yeah. You lent him stuff? Yeah. You ever lend him a sefer? Yeah. And then B'kitzur, they brought the Sfarim, and they found that in those days they used to sign. Remember old Sfarim, the fancy signatures? So the guy borrowed a sefer, and the owner of the sefer made a mistake. He put a signature in the middle of the page where you're not supposed to. He ripped out the page, and just on top he wrote a whole shtar that he owes him money. So the Rav put it back in the sefer and basically tore up the shtar. Fine. But there's a concept that you have to be mekayim a shtar. You have to see, is the shtar a good shtar? You can do this without the defendant in front of you. Just like you can't accept witnesses without the baldin, you can't accept the shtar without the baldin. Let me explain to you. We had in this Masechta, a famous halach that we had here, that you have to bring the bull to court, you have to bring the nitva, everybody has to go to court. The owner of the ox has to be there. So too, we take that to everything else in Torah. Comes to shtar, he has to be there. Comes to Edom, he has to be there. Amar Rava. Says Rava, and this is how we pass. The halacha is that you say the shtar is a good shtar, not a good shtar. The Edom come, say yes, we signed, or we recognize the signatures, even if the guy is not there, and even if he's screaming. But if he has a good excuse why he's not there. Give me some time. I want to buy some time at the Messina Sahadim Aranale the shtar. I want to prove that the shtar is false. It came out of a sefer of mine. Whatever it is, naktinale, then we give him. If he has a good reason, we'll give him some time. He also if he shows up, great. Eli also doesn't show up, natrinale bahab. Then we wait for a sheni, chamishi sheni. It happens to be Rabbi Yisai that from the many weeks, 7-8 weeks of the Shovavim, today is the very, very last day of bahab, of the chamishi. Natrinale bahab, we wait just Monday, Thursday, Monday. Eli also, if he doesn't show up then, This is interesting. We put him in Cherem. Put the guy in Cherem. I'm just thinking now, combining these two stories, because I just read a whole thing, a very sad story about somebody that was in a Lubavitch school in Australia, a famous story that happened over there in the community. Somebody did terrible things to children over there, and one of the kids came out, and the father, he went to court. He went to the Rabbanim. He felt that the Rabbanim weren't listening to him, so he went to court. So they excommunicated him from the community. All his friends that he had for many, many years. This guy was already in the 60s, whatever. Nobody spoke to him, zero, nothing. And eventually he had to move to Eretz Yisrael. And he came to Eretz Yisrael, he had a heart attack. Oh my, it's a very, very sad story. But he put the guy in Cherem. They're saying this thing, that this is the halacha over here, that you could hear testimony from witnesses not in front of a Rebbe that's a bad Rebbe, because to save these kids and everything else, that all the reason that they have, it's pashut. We put this guy in Cherem for 90 days. He's not showing up to Bezdin. So the bottom line is, from the 90 days, we can't do anything. We can't take his property. Why? Because we break up the 90 days into 3 parts of 30. We can't take away from him the first 30 days. I want to work overtime, get another job, and then, what time is it? 8:02? And I'll pay back. The middle 30 days, from 30 to 60, also not. I couldn't get another job. But you know what? I'm going to sell off my property now, so I could pay it off. And the last 30 days of the 90, yes, I found someone to buy my property, but he's working to get a mortgage. Takes time, we know. He doesn't show up. Then we sign a document, the Bezdin signs a document that you could go and take his belongings. Here we have this picture. I don't know how it works here in Eretz Yisrael. In America, sometimes it depends on what state you live in. If you have somebody, let's say, that doesn't want to leave a rented house, it can take years to get them out. I have property in Indianapolis, so over there it takes just a few days. But a few days to get a psak din that he has to leave. If he doesn't leave, then it takes like 2 months. But basically, I've seen with my own eyes, they come in, big guys, they open up the door. If you don't open up, they'll knock it open, and they literally remove all your possessions, put it on the sidewalk, and they leave it there in a giant pile. You walk by, you see TVs, clothing, shoes, just like without a seder, on the front yard. So over here you see the same exact. There's a certain process. You go and you warn and you come back again. If he says, I comply and I'll come to Bezdin, great. I don't care about Bezdin. You write it right away. That's it. We're talking about the guy who took a loan, and now he can't pay back the loan. If the guy gave him a cow as a deposit, there's no excuses. Where is the cow? It should be in your house. You have no right to sell it. If you sold it, you're a ganav. Then you write on a drachta right away, and you go and you take it. And when do you write this adrachta mikarke? When there's real estate. You can't write an adrachta on TV screens and shoes. Why? Maybe the malva will ruin it. He has a chance to stick up for himself. And he'll ruin the star. And he say that whatever the malva took, the computers and everything he took was shelaima, but it's too late. He already spilled water on the computer, it's gone. But if the malva could back it up, he could back up the metalton with real estate, kasvinen, then we do right. Below, he says the Gemara, you don't write an adrachta on metalton in any case. Why? You could think here in Eretz Yisrael, if a person owned a piece of if the malva has real estate, he says, I'm very wealthy, I have a piece of real estate, so let me take the guy's computer and bike, and worst comes to worst, if he proves that it's his computer and bike, I could back it up with my real estate. But guess what? What if he owned real estate in Be'eri? And now it's not worth that much. Sometimes real estate goes down in value. Yeah, it had a flood, whatever it is. So real estate doesn't either work, says the Gemara. You have to notify him. But when do you have to notify him, says the Gemara, that he's close by. If he's far away, you don't notify him. If he's far away but he has relatives, there's buses that go back and forth. Mashina le Tracy Yarchi, give him 12 months. 12 months. Yarchi Shata doesn't siyadta. He has 12 months because he's far away. He has to get back. Kiha says the Gemara, the Ravina Shoal and Maracha Tracy Yarchi Shata. There was a case actually that they waited for Maracha 12 months. Says the Gemara Veloi. There's a special case by Maracha. Maracha was a bad guy. He was a tough guy. And if you take stuff, you take computers, you never give it back. You have by a regular person, we don't wait 12 months. So he goes from 12 months, you're not going to believe it, to 3 days. Enough time for the shlich to go on Tuesday. He shows up on Wednesday, and on Thursday, he comes to the Torah. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
They give him a lot.